What's going on, everybody? This is another episode of Metal on a Budget with your host DJ Metal, and today we're here to check out what I look for in a used guitar when I go to buy it from either a pawn shop, Facebook Marketplace, you name it, even a guitar store. What we do here is we look for inexpensive gear, cabs, pedals, amps, guitars, software, you name it, microphones, lighting, the whole thing. So with that being said, let's dive into this and see what makes a guitar worthy of being played. Okay, so the guitar in question today is the Kramer Striker. This is a prime example of what to look for in a guitar. I paid $250 for this beast of an instrument, and honestly, this thing, as long as I don't knock it on the ground or break it in half, I really do believe this thing will last me for the rest of my life. This one was built in like 2005. Apparently these aren't the HHS setup. These are actually mini humbuckers apparently, which they sound like single coils to me. That's the reason why I assumed that on this instrument when I done my entire guitar collection video. The first thing I look at is obviously, is it something that I like? Is it something that I'd be into? On this one, it has a beautiful sparkle paint job on it, and I'm really happy with that. Maple neck and 24 frets, which those are obviously not a determining factor of why I would buy this guitar. Those are just a preference from how long I play guitar. That's kind of what I go for, is the 24 fret stuff. First things first, when you go to check a guitar, is you want to check if you can play it through amp at the person's house or at the pawn shop or wherever. That's even better to justify that the guitar actually does play. So with this guitar, I actually got to play it at the place where I bought it. So that was very nice to be able to have that option. Another thing is I immediately want to check the nut. So sometimes they're down here and sometimes they're up here. This is very, very important. So first things first is you want to look down that guitar and make sure it's not bowed. This one needs a truss rod adjustment for sure. I would have way better action if I went ahead and adjust that truss rod. It's actually bowing like this. But knowing that the truss rod adjustment key, the thing you got to look for is make sure they're not stripped out or wallered or anything. If they look new in there, then you should be fine to be able to adjust it. I have bought guitars in the past that had some wonky truss rod. They're all wallered out and stripped out, and there's not much you can do. I actually was going to repair a bass guitar for someone. Well, not repair it, just adjust the neck, and it was one of those cases where it had been wallered out. And even nicer guitars can have that issue, if you will. So that's a number one thing. If you can't adjust that truss rod, if it's wore out, wallered out, stripped out, you're not going to be able to adjust the guitar's neck, and that's just not going to be good. So always check that. Even if you have to they're always a little Phillips screwdriver, and most of them don't even have the cover. But you always want to check that and make sure that that's something that you don't have to deal with, because it will render you from fixing your instrument completely. Next, any cracks on the neck, headstock, anything that's going to make it unstable tuning, you just want to go through all the little nicks and crannies and make sure there's no massive cracks. Sometimes you'll find a little finish crack, and I'm okay with those. It's not a big deal. But if there's like a massive crack all the way through and you can kind of flex it and it'll open up, then you know that you should definitely not get the instrument, because you don't want to get an instrument that you barely tap it on the wall and it breaks because it was already messed up. So definitely grab your guitar, feel it, make sure it's good, Make sure there's no breaks in it. Kind of look at the frets. And then next thing, you want to make sure your frets are all solid. They're not popping out. This one looks good. I have no issues with it. Maybe this fret right here needs to be hammered down a little bit, but feel your frets. Don't be afraid to sit there for a second and just run through the notes. Make sure nothing's fretting out. They all feel good. So another thing is the input jack. Make sure that it's not loose or anything. You don't want to have to get a guitar you have to solder off the rip. Me personally, I have enough experience where I do work on my guitars, so if I get something broken, I don't mind to solder it up and fix it myself. But as a beginner, when I first started, I was not able to do that. To be able to get a guitar that is functioning off the rip is very, very important. Another thing that you want to look at is serial numbers. You want to check your serial numbers and make sure this one is a B-stock instrument. I knew that when I bought it, hence why I got it for $250. And there's nothing wrong with B-stock. Honestly, I couldn't figure out why this one was a B-stock. Maybe the pickup. The only issue I had with it is this pickup separated. And yeah, that's where we're at. Another thing is check your knobs and make sure that like your bridge is straight. Another thing that's really, really important, and when you check a guitar, is to make sure your strings are lined up with that neck. I've had guitars that I worked on before and they were shifted over where they routed the body wrong. So everything was shifted, and now this string would be all the way over here. So when you go to play it, what happens? It slides off the neck. So make sure your strings are perfectly aligned with that neck. That's going to make it to where the guitar is not really playable. You might be able to play on some of the lower strings or higher strings or vice versa, depending on which way they offset it. The only guitar I've really had issues with the offset would be a one of those cheaper dime bag Razor guitar. One of those had that, but I haven't seen that too often. You don't want to get a guitar where you have to already replace the tuners. So always check your tuners, make sure they're looking good. That's kind of what I look for in an instrument. You always want to check if you have springs, make sure they're not wallered out, make sure that stuff's good. And overall, that's really all you have to look for in an instrument. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the playing side of it. Well, there you have it, folks. That's some things to look out for when you're buying a used guitar. And if I missed anything, go ahead and drop in the comments down below and let me know what your thoughts were. Also, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and it's easy, it's free, and it goes a long way for the channel. So with that being said, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.